Games journalists should never be taken seriously because most of them will crumble to dust if they don't lie for 5 minutes.
I know there is heavy competition for the worst games journalist out there ever, and there's a lot of names that come to mind when you hear that phrase, but one person always seems to never miss. Every time I see one of their articles come across my desk, I just can't help but read it for comedy relief. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Smash JT. Zarmina Khan
Yay!
is in the news once
Oh,
again with her latest article doing full damage control on
oh, we knew the damage control is gonna be glorious. We knew, boys. We knew.
Dragon Age the Veilguard, trying to talk about how, once again, just like the previous coverage I had on her, blaming the gamers for daring to question Ghost of Yatai's Sucker Punch for hiring Erika Ishii as the main protagonist. People aren't allowed to ask
Ugh.
questions in her mind, just consume and beg for the next product.
Yep, that's what they unironically seriously want you to do. Okay, we're not people in the eyes of these well, I don't even know what to call them honestly, but they don't see us as humans. They don't see us as people. They see us as something lesser. And they see themselves as the ones who know what is right. The ones that should decide what we think. And they obviously get pretty upset and pretty mad when we just obviously don't agree with that opinion because it's stupid.
Hit that subscribe, give me a like, and check out SmashJT.com for the full article breaking down Zarmina Khan's latest article defending Dragon Age the Veilguard and how apparently this is a breakout.
You know what's the best part about JT? It's the fact that he could honestly be sitting on a pretty small bench. Maybe he's not actually standing. Maybe he's sitting on a pretty small bench. That is a chance. That is a chance.
Success by all metrics if you just ignore the metrics. Zarmina Khan is back in the spotlight for another article from PlayStation Lifestyle, this time defending Dragon Age the Veilguard with an interesting angle. If her name sounds familiar, it's because I recently covered her and her spirited defense of Ghost of Yatai and her attempt in painting Erika Ishii as a saint, while also in the same breath slandering countless gamers for daring to question the authority of Sucker Punch and having a female protagonist, because God forbid.
How dare you have an opinion? Do you not know that that leads to bigotry? You don't want to be called a Nazi, do you? You don't want to be called a misogynist. Oh, no, you don't. These words have power. They will destroy. Proud misogynist, proud Nazi, proud everything right here. Right here, boys. Right here. Misogynist, misandrist, because I definitely hate men way more than I hate women. That's for sure. And for very, very obviously self-serving purposes. That's right. I'm here. You know, Fifth Reich. No, wait, Eighth Reich. No, whatever. I'm there, boys. I'm literally there.
People get what they wanted. A follow-up to Jin Sakai in one of the most masterpiece games ever created. No, just consume product. Her articles always seem to lack any kind of honest balance, always favoring the agenda-driven narratives with no attention paid to factual.
Oh wait, I just saw the glorious words of Black Myth Wukong. Okay, boys, listen. How many months have passed since Black Myth Wukong came out? Or maybe it's been days and I'm just lost in the sauce. I don't honestly follow the flow of time that well. It's just another day, okay? But it still has something like 100k plus active players, which is insane. Okay, if Black Myth Wukong does not win Game of the Year in literally every way possible, you know what that means. You know exactly what that means.
No attention paid to factual integrity. Her background includes work for the British government prior to joining on with PlayStation.
Oh, Jesus, that's like the worst government you could be a part of.
lifestyle and has plenty of questions regarding activism in her background. And if you want a full-on deep dive in the information I found on that, I'm not going to rehash all of it. You can check out the previous video if you missed it. I'll put it above me right now. But for now, let's dive into this article from Dragon Age the Veilguard and why the game is just a hit. And if you're not buying it, you're just an angry chud. You're a hater. You're a troll. Khan has decided to take it upon herself to take on the role as BioWare's...
God, these dialogues. I know exactly what this dialogue is. It literally is this, by the way. Sits at table. So, I'm non-binary. What you gonna do now, Dad and Mom? God, all of these dialogues are so painful, okay? I heard someone describe Dragon Age dialogues as when an adult explains to his toddler why doing something is bad and they shouldn't do it. And I think that's honestly a perfect summarization of how most of these dialogues feel. And not a single line ever is reasonable in this game. It's just insane. Even in the middle of combat, it's not like, hey, attack them, push them, kill them. It's like, do you feel okay? Are you hurt? It's just sad. It's stupid. Not a single line of dialogue feels believable.
Champion, arguing that the company is right to block so-called trolls from criticizing the game. Ironically, this is the same person that writes for PlayStation Lifestyle who posted the article on Twitter and blocked replies. So I guess it lines up.
A classic, if I may.
Zarmina's latest article, titled Dragon Age the Veilguard Off to a Good Start Amid Troll Attacks, frames Veilguard's launch as some kind of triumphant moment for BioWare, claiming that the game is...
Oh yeah, I covered this a lot. We watched Maddie's video on this, and he showed the numbers. And I'll just summarize this. Dragon Age Veilguard has no shot at being even remotely profitable. It's gonna be a ginormous loss. There is nothing that will change this.
Experiencing strong sales, despite supposed grifters attempting to harm the clear success of the game. And in her article, she specifically highlights that right-wing voices have criticized the game.
Hey, I'm a right-wing voice. That's 10 out of 10 amazing.
Automatically dismisses any...
Why did the door move on its own? That's slightly scary. The window's not. Why did the door? Okay, if this doesn't get uploaded, well, you're not gonna know anything about this.
Substantive complaints from gamers whom she disparages as the usual grifters, framing them as ideologically motivated attackers rather than, I don't know, concerned customers that might have fallen in love with the series and were looking forward to this game for nearly a decade.
JT, you boon, that's crazy talk.
No. You're just a grifter if you have any questions about it. Now, Khan does acknowledge that Veilguard's concurrent player count is lower than that of other recent releases, like the big daddy of games this year, Black Myth Wukong, but she quickly brushes away those pesky facts with the amusing defensive comment, concurrent players mean the number of people playing a game at the same time. It's not a sales number. Well, yeah.
Yeah. And guess what? These numbers have two very specific, well, actually, three very specific correlations. One is launch day. People buy the game, but they don't play it, okay? There's plenty of people who buy games but don't play it. I have bought, honestly, plenty of games that I played and I liked, but I didn't play them launch day. And it had nothing to do with them being multiplayer or not. That is just a thing that happens. Second of all, these numbers perfectly correlate with what happens when one, the graph goes down, and two, the graph goes up. There are these correlations are pretty much always the same, okay? When you see these things happening, with these three things, you always know specifically exactly what's happening. And a low maximum player count on release is bad, because that is your peak sales number, okay? And, GG Nori, I guess.
True, But it's the same for all games. Like, it's an indicator. That's why people look at it, because it's an important indicator that has a direct correlation to the amount of people who have purchased said product.
Exactly. This is not, by the way, always true, but you can look at it pretty much something like this way, okay? And we know that, again, not 100% accurate, and there is a huge difference when we're talking about thousands of copies sold, hundreds of thousands of copies sold, and millions of copies sold, okay? There's different correlations. But effectively, you're gonna be at least in the ballpark of plausibility if you have one copy sold, one player peak playing. That means that maybe 100 copies were sold. If you have 10,000 players, that means 100k copies were potentially sold, and that is not accurate because I forgot the specific term for this, because this has a specific term, but the error margin. The error margin of this is 50% each way. Okay, typically slightly less on the it's actually sold more copies, but yeah, the error margin of this can be upwards or downwards of 50%, but it's relatively at least in the area of that. And we know this because we have had tons of sale data for a lot of different games, and it's pretty much in that metric. So it is not the most accurate way of doing things, but it's honestly kind of the most accurate way that you have.
She even went on to Twitter, continuing with this line of thought. Hey, worthless chuds! Concurrent players is not the number of copies sold on a platform, LMAO. All it means is the amount of people playing at the same time. You guys are so stupid, it's mind-blowing. Hashtag Dragon Age.
Throw Queen, speak words to power another gay nonsense.
Veilguard will remain rent-free in your empty heads. It's like that meme of Homer.
I love the idea that when someone says, "Oh, is this living rent-free in your head?" No, no. I actually make a video about this and don't even think about it unless I come across it on the internet naturally, or I'm specifically looking into because I want to know what's happening. After that, it's not living rent-free in my head. You know, I'm not. What's Luke Skywalker's name again? Harrison Ford? No. Something. Yeah. Something. I don't remember his name. But, for example, Trump lives in that guy's rent-free. More specifically, Trump's dick, for some strange reason. He can't stop speaking about it and thinking about it. But yeah, for a normal person, like me, like JT, you just talk about it, and then you forget that it even exists. Okay? That's how life works in reality.
Simpson with the cigar laying down on the couch.
Meow.
Everyone is stupid except me. I mean, just the way she started off the article. Dragon Age the Veilguard sales are looking strong, despite a concerted effort by the usual grifters to hurt its sales. Which I gotta stop right there and say, if you think YouTubers being honest with an audience is grifting to hurt sales, that says a lot more about your integrity than anything else.
True.
The discourse surrounding the game even attracted the attention of influential right-wing personalities, but that didn't stop it from becoming one of publisher Electronic Arts' biggest single-player launches.
Parentheses, this past 24 hours. There you go.
Source, please? I would love to see some information backing this up, because all we have right now is Steam charts, which does not tell us anything about the actual launch itself. She goes on to say, Veilguard currently holds a Metacritic average of 84 out of 100 on PlayStation 5. Looking at legitimate reviews, critics seem a bit split on the title, especially its pacing. That said, a score of 84 out of 100 is pretty solid overall, after the disaster.
Because critics are the only source that matters. And on Metacritic, by the way, Veilguard is completely shot.
Disastrous launch of Anthem in 2019, BioWare has certainly redeemed itself with Dragon Age the Veilguard, which, sure, if you ignore those pesky facts get in the way of how BioWare was seemingly hand-selecting people.
Metacritic user score Dragon Age Veilguard 3.3, 2.3k reviews. On Steam, it's currently 77% positive, but that's because no one's buying it.
People to review this game to make sure they got the highest Metacritic score possible before release. Yeah, I guess you could say, just looking at it for what it is, it's a great game and everyone should love it. There's no
Of
problems
course.
here. And all this goes back to the whole journalist, and I use that term very lightly because they're activists posing as journalists. They're all the same thing. At the end of the day, the more I dive into this, it's the exception, not the rule, to find somebody who actually writes and talks about gaming professionally.
God, imagine how this room smells. Like, imagine the stench in here. It would probably kill most living organisms.
Actually writes and talks about gaming professionally in the industry that doesn't have an angle that is anti-gamer. And it's got to make you wonder, why is that? Why are you in an industry where you hate your customer? You are in the wrong line.
Because you were a failed political pundit. This is literally the backstory of most games journalists.
Of work. Zarmina loves to rage against and hate on actual gamers on her Twitter account almost daily. If she hates gamers so much, why is she doing this? It's because they want power, and this is a way to manipulate people and control them, and they are addicted to it. But here's the funniest
Well, they're failing at it now. Everyone sees past the grift.
thing about it. When I go through the article, if I didn't already know her background from covering her previously, I'd assume that all of her articles are satire. Her unwavering alignment with corporate interests and her constant sweeping dismissals of dissenting voices continues to create articles that are both infuriating and honestly beyond entertaining in their lack of self-awareness. If you read through her article like any normal person
Nice.
would, you'd be like, is this like the Babylonian Bee or the Onion? Like, who would write this and be serious? It's so unbelievably, utterly ridiculous to.
Oh, by the way, I just saw it on Twitter today. The Babylon Bee. This was a great headline. Diddy's ex-girlfriend tells you to trust her judgment on who you should vote for. dude, Kamala should have got the Epstein list to support her on becoming president. That's just so hilarious.
To take the standpoint that she does.
Oh, we're pulling a barb, boys. Are you ready? It's time to pull a barb.
Be gargling the corporate nuts and just asking for more every time she talks. You gotta go back to the origins of what's happening right now with the whole Gamergate situation and access media and how these people can't be honest with their audience because they're so afraid to piss off their corporate overlords and lose the access that is the only thing they have that is keeping them in the position.
Yeah, exactly. To simplify slightly what he means by this. By the way, again, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, always 10 out of 10. What JT means by this, to simplify it a little bit, is that there are people that can get viewership, that can get stuff done because their opinions are decent, because their opinions are interesting, because their opinions are topical. And then there's people like these game journalists who have nothing of value to say, and the only thing that they can rely upon is the fact that they have access to something that other people don't have. And that's their only way of getting these audiences. So this is why all of these games journalists fear to lose their access and being actually truthful and negative about the game, because they cannot compete with other people on the internet, on YouTube, on other sites even, with just the stuff that they say, because it's not interesting, it's boring, it's dry, and they can't change that. But they can try and get views by, providing a view, providing access to something that no one else can. And that's the only thing that they have. And that's why it's so important.
That they're in right now. And it's exactly why every single YouTuber covering gaming right
Now, I'm not saying I would hate fuck her, the living shit out of her, but I would, okay? Just being transparent here, boys. I'm not gonna lie, kinda would. Now, admittedly, I don't know the full story of Dragon Age, but I hope that that's a she, not a him, actually. Because you can never be sure with these games. But if it is a she, boys, I got a job to fill.
Why every single YouTuber covering gaming right now is completely eating their lunches. And she wants to compare Dragon Age to games, but she doesn't dare mention any because it would instantly invalidate any kind of argument that she's trying to make here. The Steam charts currently, as of recording this, the all-time peak in the first close to 24 hours of the...
And by the way, yes, I am 100% fully aware she is mentally insane, to put it lightly. But that's a bonus in my world.
In the first close to 24 hours of the game being out, has about 75,000 concurrent players on Steam playing it, which is fine. Like, that's a respectable number for,
indies.
I don't know, a game that has a name, has been in development for a few years, and they're looking
Double A or a good indie, yes, but this is unacceptable for AAA.
to make some numbers and some money off it. Great. Dragon Age the Veilguard has been in development, botched, scratched, restarted from scratch, and it's been in work for nearly 8+ years or so. The 75,000 concurrent players at launch pales in comparison to what EA needed this to be in order to come even close to making up for the losses they've had putting into the game being created in the first place. And a lot of people were trying to initially say, oh, it's Halloween, you know, people are out trick-or-treating and doing Halloween parties. They're not actually sitting home playing video games. And then you see, oh wait, no, Monster Hunter Wilds beta came out the same day and completely blew it out of the water, approaching nearly 500,000 concurrent players at one time. And it's just a beta.
And yes, we love Monster Hunter Wilds here. It looks amazing. It looks awesome, if you're wondering.
You could even reference what Peekaboo said on Twitter. Smash JT, can you make sure to mention all the Twitter brigade who are telling us it's breaking all the charts? Thanks. And included a screenshot of Dragon's Dogma all-time peak of 228,000 players.
Another absolutely amazing game, by the way.
Compared to Dragon Age the Veilguard, which is, like I said, at this point, around 75,000. So we're looking at less than a third of what Dragon's Dogma got. This is paltry in comparison. So no, this is not a win for Dragon Age by any stretch. Why would she ignore that? Curious. It's almost like she doesn't want the facts getting in the way of a good story. And not to completely...
To be fair, she's probably stupid enough to think that that doesn't matter. Anyway, that's pretty much the conclusion. It's over, and game journals are trash. Smash JT, everyone. 10 out of 10. Bye!